Cool. Let's get this show on the road. So, we're going to start off some Unravel with some neck stretches. For whatever reason, these last 2 days, my neck has been super stiff. So we're going to work that out a little bit. We're going to kind of take some classics, then we'll throw a little twist in there as well. So we're going to take our ear to our shoulder. We'll start off again, nice little basic movement here, stretching the lateral neck. And if you want to take that other side and reach down for the ground, sometimes you can even sit on your hand and kind of actively get a little bit deeper in there. And then if you want even that much more, you can take the hand that your shoulder is to your ear, and you can massage there. So don't always have to go to a massage place to get your muscles worked out. A lot of times just kind of poking around and seeing where your tight spots are kind of gives us a good indication of if it's going to be our posture, it's going to be our workout, of where that tension is coming from, how it's getting there, and then kind of manually working it out. And that's just another way to get more in tune with our body. So I'm getting a little bit more at the base of the neck here, which means there's a good chance that it's all in my traps, just kind of shrugging my shoulders up too much. All right. Let's go ahead and slowly come up out of that. We'll go to the other side. First, we'll bring that ear to our shoulder. Find that good deep stretch. And again, you can reach that arm away. I'm just going to start feeling around, see if there's any knots in here. Usual recommendation is once you find a knot, is just put pressure on it. Sometimes you can even pinch it. Put pressure on it for usually about 30 seconds or so is the recommendation. If you get like a jolt, a tingling up there, you're probably pinched a nerve, so stay away from that one. But trying to get into that muscle belly. All right. Now we're just gonna do some neck rolls. We're just kind of rolling around from the front, side to side. Just kind of get some motion in there. Now that we're a little looser on each side, you can get a little rotation in that as well. And then we can go on that back side, which may already be pretty tight. Nice, easy movement. So especially when it comes to the neck, we definitely don't want to like jerk anything. I want to take that nice and easy. Okay. We're going to flip around the hands and knees here. We're going to walk those hands out, push those hips backwards. A little child's pose going on. Think about bringing that forehead to the ground. So you're going to want yours kind of squared up, but I'm going to talk a little bit to the side so I'm not talking into the ground so you can hear me. We want to actively kind of reach those fingertips forward, reach those hips backwards, create as much length through those lats, to the side of our back as possible. You're breathing under control here as well. Think about lowering your chest towards the ground. Fingertips still reaching as far forward as possible. We're going to take that right hand, we're going to walk that over on top of our left hand. And we're going to sit those hips back to the right. So create length a little bit more specifically to that right side. Still trying not to rotate, so keeping that chest pressed down towards the ground. And let's walk it back. We'll center up for a second. And then continue that left hand over to that right. And sit your hips back to the left. Creating length through those lats. Breathing in control. All right, walk that back to neutral. Then we're going to pull ourselves forward, go into that up dog position. Roll those shoulders back. Try to extend that neck as long as possible. Press it into the ground. Think about stretching those abs. Notice those tops of the feet are flat on the ground. And if you want to, you can get a little shoulder rotation in here. Kind of loosen up that low back. Certainly hold a lot of tension there. And we'll sit that back child's pose one more time. Big reach forward. And relax there. So keeping kind of that same position, we're going to work to open those knees up. I'm going to do it from the front so we have a little bit more room here. We're going to open those knees up pretty wide. And we're going to take those feet and make those, and spread those feet out wide as well. So your feet are kind of just behind your knees. So lower leg is parallel to one another. All right, so instead of, you can't really see it. But yeah, think about kind of like a frog position, or like a frog stroke. So in this position, you should already feel those hips kind of opening up. If you want to, you can kind of crawl those hands out and work to push those hips down towards the ground. We're kind of using the ground in a butterfly stretch, kind of helping open those knees up. So if that helps to think about this, is opening inside the hips. I continue kind of pushing those hips down towards the ground as I feel looser and looser. And then we'll push that back, kind of reset. Then we'll go one more time, pulling forward, pushing those hips to the ground. Notice again, we talk about this a lot, is slow into these end ranges of motion. So we're not jerking anything. We're just easing ourselves, feeling where that tension is, working past that block. We'll go ahead and ease backwards this, and we'll roll that up. All right, I'm gonna go down onto our side. It's been a while. We're gonna check how that bretzel stretch, everybody's favorite. All right, so whatever leg is closest to the ground, that's my right. I'm going to pull this backwards. I'm going to grab my left hand to my right ankle. Alright, and I'm going to actively pull that back like a quad stretch. Alright, so this quad, you should be feeling a nice stretch through there. Stretch through that hip. Once we have that stretch, let's actually just go ahead and hold that, just so we can kind of break this down into pieces here. So we're actively pulling that heel to our glute. Getting a nice stretch through that bottom leg. Alright, so once we really have that stretched out a little bit, this top knee, we're going to pull this up a little bit closer and grab that right hand to that left knee and push that down into the ground. Alright, so you should feel a little bit more of a stretch through that right quad, that bottom quad. Alright, and now all we're going to do is take this top shoulder, for me is my left, and I'm just going to open that chest, push that shoulder to the ground. Nice little spinal twist here. And almost kind of like pulling apart that shoulder and that right knee. Or that left knee, that top knee. And go ahead and relax out of that. Just come up out of that, release some tension. We're going to go back into it so you can keep your hands where you are. So we're going to re-engage that bottom leg, the bottom hip. We're going to push that knee back into the ground, that top knee, and then we're going to roll it open. Usually going to take that gaze looking behind you, prompt that rotation. Breathe in and out. And we'll ease back from that one. Alright, I'm going to flip over to the other side, but you can just roll over it if you'd like. I'm going to do the same thing. This bottom knee, I'm going to grab that ankle with my top hand. I'm going to create that stretch. So we're going to hold right here for just a second first. I'm going to find that stretch. Should be opening through that hip. Should be able to stretch through that quad, top of the thigh. Alright, once I have that engaged, I'm going to take this top knee, pull that up, grab onto the inside of that knee, and pull that down towards the ground. Top shoulder, we're going to open up. Nice little stretch to the back. Get a couple pops. I'm going to take that gaze looking behind me to promote that rotation. And always breathing. Try to sink into a little bit deeper each exhale. It's a great grip strength exercise here. Hanging onto that foot and that knee. Let's go and pull out of that for just a second. Hung out there a little bit longer than the first one, but it feels good, you know? I'm going to go one more time, easing into that. Get that bottom leg set. Pull that top knee down. And rotate those shoulders back. How's that neck doing? Make sure that we're elongating, really extending that top of the head towards the other side of the room. And let's ease up out of that. All right. We're going to come to a seated position. We're going to focus on those quads a little bit more now that's all kind of loosened up. So we're going to take one leg, bend that here, one leg straight. And so what we're going to do is kind of roll backwards. This is one of those favorite running stretches. So try to keep those hips as square up to the ceiling as you can, and just leaning backwards. Good test for that ankle mobility as well. If this is not quite doing it for you, we can hold that sideline quad stretch, this one here, okay? Very similar action going on. We're just using the ground as a stop and letting gravity kind of pull us down. It's deep in that stretch. If this position isn't doing anything for you, you can go down to your elbow, okay? And if that's still not doing anything, I'm not going to demonstrate, but you can go all the way down to your back. This is about as far down as I'm going to want to go, right about here. So we're going to hold this for about another 15 seconds. One thing about kind of almost like you're squeezing that right glute, trying to extend through those hips. You should feel that deep in that quad from that hip to the knee. Alright, we'll slowly, again, roll out of that. Extend that leg forward. Pull that other leg behind. Notice here my knees are relatively close together as well. I'm not all out here. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this relatively straight line here. I'm going to ease back a little bit looser on this side. Important to keep that knee down towards the ground as well. As much of that lower leg you can keep in contact with the ground, more beneficial this stretch is going to be. Now we're squeezing this back glute to get deeper into that front thigh, into that quad. Breathing through. Again, we'll hold here about 15 seconds. And we'll bring it back up. All right. Next one, we're going to sit. We're going to go for our double pigeon. So you're going to stack one foot on the top of your other leg. If that's not going to quite happen, you can keep that out in front, no issues. So we're going to stack this one up. We're going to sit nice and tall. We're going to let that chest be pulled forward. And feel this one in the glute. So we're just going to release that chest. Think about this again, like that pigeon pose, but just a little bit different positioning. So again, the longer you hold it, the more you should be sinking into it. Trying not to hold on to the tension, but rather letting that tension be released. I'm going to hold here, another 2. Let's go ahead and bring that up, switching sides, the last one for the day. We'll even these 2 sides out. We'll ease that chest reaching forward. And breathe as you let that hip loosen. You find one's a little bit tighter than the other. It's a good chance that you may favor a butt cheek when you sit down. So just be conscious of that. Last few seconds here. Slowly easing into it deeper and deeper. And relax. Alright, that's going to do it for some Unravel. If you're hanging around for some full body blast, we'll be back in just a minute. I do know you will need a chair. So if you have one that does not have wheels on it, go ahead and grab that. Otherwise, have a great rest of your afternoon. We'll see you next time.